These are the 9 principles of body efficiency training, and this is principle number 7, relax and flow. My name is Toby, and on this channel I talk about body dynamics and chi energy, the life force energy. And really you could think of this as a cross between martial arts and dance, because body dynamics of course is all about moving the body in different ways. And dance and martial arts, they're really the same thing, but martial arts you could think of as dancing with a purpose. So there's a purpose, and of course the purpose is striking or controlling your opponent. Now what I'm doing here is just starting off by flowing, nice and easy, nice and relaxed. But if you see in the rest of this series, you'll see there's lots of principles that I'm applying here. I'm holding up the spine nice and straight. I'm also trying to keep the hips and the shoulders in a nice neutral position, feeling them in the center point. Then I'm also allowing them to move around in the joint, so I'm moving the bones in the socket in the hips and the shoulders. And this is creating an elasticity in the tendons. So this is creating an elastic recoil. So I'm stretching the joints as I'm moving them. So as well as doing all that, holding the alignment, getting this feeling of flowing right, I'm also trying to flow in the correct sequence. So I'm starting the flow off from the spine, and it spreads from the spine outwards, out through the arms and out through the legs. And there's a rhythm, you can feel a flow to it. And there's a dynamic tension between the hips and the shoulders, so they work together and also against each other. So so what I'm trying to do is spring load a twist in the spine, and there you can see me twisting right up as far as I can. So I'm doing a combination of really stretching as far as I could possibly stretch, but also springing back to the midpoint, the mid position, the neutral position. So that's a vertical neutral spine with this neutral hips and shoulders and the arms and legs bent about halfway. So it's very much like Tai Chi, but it's completely freestyle Tai Chi, and it's Tai Chi done with the body of a dancer. So it's more like a ballet dancer. I'm holding a nice tall spine with a slight backwards arch. Now even as I move the spine around, you see, I'm doing it ever so carefully. And I've got to be aware of the neutral position and always come back to it and try to stay as close to it as possible, because it is the most efficient position for your body. From this neutral spine, all movement is easy. It's much easier, and you're in the middle position, the midpoint of all movement. So from here, of course, you can move in all directions evenly. Now, so far we worked up to structural isometrics, where I hold this position under this isometric tension in the joints. But what I'm doing here is holding it very carefully, very lightly, just enough tension to hold the right position, and then I'm trying to relax my body as much as possible. So that's what I was doing up to now. Now what you see is I'm applying a little bit more tension, so now I'm stretching. So this is a crossover between the structural isometrics, the tension, I'm holding isometric tension through the bone structure, through the joints, and moving together with that tension, so I don't let the tension go. And it feels like a continuous stretch. It feels like I'm stretching, so there's always an elasticity in the joints, in the tendons. So it can always, if I let go, it will suddenly spring. So I'm creating an elastic recoil, a stretch, and I'm allowing that stretch to recoil and move into the next position. Now also here, so what I'm doing from that structural isometrics, now I'm gradually relaxing more and more, allowing more and more range of motion. You see, even the spine now, I'm letting the spine move around like a snake. But I can only do this when I'm aware of the neutral position, because when you start moving in this very dramatic way, you're risking injury. You're taking your joints to the limit. So only after you've practiced holding the alignment for a long time, you've got the feeling of it, then you can really stretch away from it out to the limit. But you do it very carefully. So between structural isometrics and this body flow, you have martial arts, because the structural isometrics gives power and this flow gives speed, it gives movement. Now here, this is a little easy routine that you can all try. I'm just gently rolling the shoulders and gradually increasing the range of motion down to the arms. And I'm also including the spine and the rib cage. So again, to increase the range of motion, I'm using everything. The midpoint is actually the middle of the spine, and from there it extends to the rib cage. So I allow the rib cage to expand and move forward and backwards, and that extends to the scapula and the shoulders, and I let those stretch and rotate, roll in the joint around, and then that creates a whip that allow through a relaxed elbow and relaxed fingers to just extend out or flow out like a wave. And when you get the feeling of it, then you can increase the speed, and of course it becomes a strike, a very efficient strike. But what I'm doing, of course, is integration. I'm trying to hold my whole body together. So although the arms are moving, I'm still maintaining awareness of the legs and awareness of the spine. And both the arms and the legs have got to be free. So you can see there now I'm starting to shuffle about, step about, and start the beginning of kicks by rolling the hips. As I lift up, rolling the hips. I'm not actually kicking, but I'm feeling a movement in the hip joint. And when I'm moving and shifting my weight, again, I'm sinking into the hip joint. I'm feeling a stretch in the hips, a backwards arch. I'm holding the belly in. Again, that's important. You're pulling the navel to the spine, and there's tension in the obliques. So this controls the spine, and it protects the lumbar spine, because you don't want to bend back too much, but you also don't want to tuck the pelvis under. You want to allow the hips to stretch backwards. And so I'm doing there, so I squat down low. So you need to find the right movement in the joints and gradually extend away from that movement, away from the balanced position. And now I'm trying to show you some martial arts application of this. So again, you see I've got this neutral stance, and the leg is loose. It's actually relaxed. I'm throwing out the leg in a loose fashion. The knee and the ankle is loose. It just flicks out. I'm controlling the whole thing from the spine and the hip joint. So again, I'm trying to create a big circle movement of the leg bone into the hip socket. So the actual bone is moving in the socket, and I control that from the spine. You see I've got a twist and a counter twist between the hips and the shoulders. So what the effect of this is a whip down the leg, and the dead leg then just hits the bag. So again, I'm not actually going for power, I'm not even going for accuracy, I'm just trying to find this body dynamics. Now similarly I'm punching here. So here I've got a slight tension, just enough to hold the arms open, but what I'm doing again is pulsing between the hips and the shoulders and trying to feel the transmission of power through the spine. So it's relaxed. This is body flow, relaxation, just enough tension to hold the correct alignment. And then you let the flow do the work. You see, you've got to find the rhythm, the movement through the body, the kinetic chain through the body. And here's another one. You see, this is a big kinetic chain. It's a back kick. So what I've got to do is wind up and then throw the leg out as I unwind. It's all to do with the timing. So, and then what also I'm doing is pushing the supporting leg into the ground and extending the hip out into the leg. And again, I'm trying to do this relaxed. So the leg is relaxed. Now you've got to be careful, because when you throw the leg out relaxed in any of these kicks, you can injure your knee. It's got to be done exactly in the right alignment. You've got to get a feeling for it. And that's why it's not totally relaxed. You're gradually controlling. It's just enough tension to hold the right alignment, and as you get the right alignment you can relax more and more, and it becomes more and more efficient. And remember, efficiency means you've got greater speed, greater mobility, greater endurance, but less effort. You see, again, real fighters might think, well, this is okay, I'm just dancing about. But I'm not thinking of this as fighting, I'm thinking of this as dancing. I'm dancing with a purpose. I'm trying to throw out body dynamics in waves and whips, and I'm trying to become effortless in doing so. Easy, really light. The arms and legs are light, and all the control of movement comes from the control in the spine. A slight backwards arch in the neutral spine, the sternum is open, tilted slightly up, the rib cage is open, and I'm moving the rib cage as well as the shoulders. Now here what I'm doing is moving again into the straight punch, and I'll leave links below to another video about the straight punch, but here you can see the alignment. I've got to feel the stretch through my back leg, through the hip, through the spine, through the rib cage, through the shoulder, and out to the first two knuckles. And when I get that alignment right, it's very efficient. The bone structure just pushes into the bag, and I can throw into that alignment nice and easy. So this is where the combination of relaxation, body flow, and alignment come together. Here's the same with the front kick. If I get the alignment just right between the hips, it will penetrate into the bag easily, and my body weight will go into the kick. If the alignment is wrong, you'll feel a rebound. or you'll feel it impact in one of your joints. Now you see there's slow motion. I'm extending the back hip into the bag, or I'm twisting my hips forward a little bit and creating an extension through the hip joint and through the line of the leg. If you look at the concertina effect, I'm opening up the leg in its most efficient fashion. And here, this is the side kick. So same thing, I've got a neutral stance leaning to the side, and then I'm trying to extend my legs out from the hip joint. So here now the supporting leg's pushing through the hips into the kicking leg, and I've got to get the alignment just right, and then I can pulse a flow of tension like that through the legs to create a 1-inch power in the kick. You see, this again is going back to the peristaltic motion or hydraulic power. But the hydraulic power is also to do with the correct kinetic chain. It's got to go in the correct sequence, the correct flow. And so as has this relaxation method. I've got to relax, but it's not all over the place relaxation. It's very careful, controlled relaxation through a kinetic chain. I'm trying to create loose whips, loose waves through the body, and ultimately this will become a feeling of energy. Okay, I hope this all made sense. Please do check out the previous videos in the series and stay tuned for the next one coming very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in one of these other videos here.